real cases before a real judge.
Plaintiff James Bensivanga moved into his neighborhood 18 months ago, and he soon realized that all of his neighbors, including the defendant, were binge drinkers. James claims he often saw the defendant fall down drunk, and he's suing because she agreed to buy a car from him but failed to pay it off. Defendant Marcy Estrada says James is known as a hoarder, and his garage is not only filled with junk, but he also painted a large Denver Broncos logo on his garage door, which is an eyesore. She's countersuing for car repairs.
All right, start with you.
It's Your Honor, I moved into this particular neighborhood about 18 months ago. Thought it was kind of interesting. The first thing I was offered was a beer. I expected to see maybe cookies, bread,
From whom?
coffee.
From whom?
But the neighbors. I mean, the neighbors came over. Actually, the male neighbor came over with a beer. I found out that football parties and hockey game parties were really drinking binges. Mm-hmm. And basically the game was on, but it was really just drinking. That's where
Everybody drank nonstop?
Yes, it was pretty nonstop, sir. That's where I met Marcy and her boyfriend, Dave. A couple of times I saw where they tried to get out of their chairs and they fell down. And when they went to help each other, they stumbled. Towards the end of the night, they ended up stumbling home. You know, and I wouldn't see them the next day. And I figured that they were sleeping it off. That happened quite a few times. In a couple of parties that Marcy approached me and said, well, I see you're selling your Camaro. And she said she'd like to buy it. And I just felt that it was the alcohol talking. You know? And so I didn't make any, didn't take it really serious.
The whole block drunks?
No, we have a little section,
Well, you
sir.
talk like, a section of the block of drunks. How many households within that block are full of drunks?
6.
All right.
Right?
You're something else, sir. You don't determine these people just because they drink beer when they watch the sporting events.
No, sir, it's not just drinking beer, Your Honor.
All right, what do they do?
Okay.
Drink shots when they're watching the game or something? All right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
The whole block drunks?
No, we have a little section,
You
sir.
talk like, a section of the block of drunks. How many households within that block are full of drunks?
6.
All right.
Right?
You're something else, sir.
Defendant Marcy Estrada is being sued by her neighbor, who claims Marcy is a binge drinker who often falls down drunk.
You live in one of these houses of drunks?
I suppose so.
Give me some background.
Okay, well, Jim is my neighbor, yes. He's known in our neighborhood for being a hoarder. I have pictures of his garage.
You a hoarder, sir? So you got some habits of your own.
Yes, sir. He has a stove he pulls out of his garage and burns wood for hours. He's had the fire department called. And he also drew or painted on Denver's Bronco on his garage door, knowing that most of everyone in the neighborhood does not really care for the Broncos. And I have a picture of that. He's the eyesore of the neighborhood, unfortunately.
Sir, that's a little worse than them getting drunk in the confines of their own home. You bringing down the property values. Sir?
Well, I would contest that.
How do you explain all this to me?
I haven't seen any of that.
All right, hand it to him. You've seen it. You put it there. Go ahead, that's enough.
Hey, garage.
That is the inside of my garage.
All right, and the door's up.
Well, at this time,
So
it
any
definitely
prospective purchasers who are riding around the neighborhood and saying, I think I might want to move over in this neighborhood. Let me look at some houses. I see there's some houses for sale over here. And then they drive by and your garage door's up. And they say, oh, no, we got somebody here that doesn't keep their property up. Let's go to another neighborhood. So bring it down the neighborhood. Bring down the property values. Go ahead, man.
Okay,
What else you
so
want
on
me to know?
4:30, my car broke down.
And if they find out about you drunks, they're not gonna move it over there either. Go ahead.
Okay. On 4:30, my car broke down, and I needed a car. And I had previously spoken to him about the Camaro, and I knew it was for sale.
Okay. Let him tell me about the lawsuit regarding the car. I got the point that you were looking to purchase the car from him. What happened?
In April, her father and her came over to my house. They mentioned about her car breaking down. She needed a car because she cleans house, and she has to drive to wherever she's working. Okay.
He's a hire for the garage, that's for sure. Go ahead.
All right. I was a little concerned, and I expressed that concern. I said, the car's not perfect. All right. I consider myself a lay mechanic. You know, I understand mechanics, but her father is a mechanic. His career was as a mechanic.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I directed all my questions to him. I said, hey, the engine light is on. I says, I know at least the sensor, oxygen sensor, bank 2, sensor 1.
You remember that conversation?
No.
You don't remember anything about the engine light being on?
No, I do know that the engine light was on,
He said that?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right. And I said, the car mechanically is good. I drove it around, gets 24 miles per gallon. At that point, she interrupted us and she says, I want the car. I looked at her father and all he did was shrug his shoulder.
How much?
$1,800. She made the first 2 payments and she wrote up the contract because I said,
Do you
what
have
you
a
can
contract?
pay.
Let's see it.
There it is.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, my dad was not with me when I went to purchase the car on 4:30. My father was not with me at all. And he's 61 years old, and he never had any intentions of, you know, going into a big project like that.
Big project like what?
Like fixing a car that was, you know.
This is a big contradiction. You say he was there, and she says
he was not. He was there, and we talked about going to the junkyard together.
He never came to look at the car before purchasing it?
Before purchasing it, yes, but this.
What are you talking about?
To him
Come
about
on,
the
man.
car.
Let me go back to him.
Okay.
You know the whole point is whether your dad looked at the car before you purchased it. But you interrupted me to say, no, my dad wasn't there. So the only implication, only relevance that has is if you're trying to tell me he never saw it. Go ahead, sir.
Well, she made 2 payments on time. Then progressively, they were later and less amount. She came to me and said that she was having problems with the amount. I said, well, I'm willing to work with you, but you need to pay. You need to pay something.
When is the last time she paid?
The last time she paid was in July.
All right. And ma'am, let me hear from you.
Well, on 4:30, I did go to him to purchase the car. My father was not with me at that time, but he did look at the car. He had plates on the car. And before, when I was looking at the car, there was no plates on the car. And he told me it would pass emissions.
Defendant Marcy Estrada is being sued by her neighbor, who claims Marcy is a binge drinker who often falls down drunk.
So this is the first time I'm hearing about anything involving emissions. Did that come up?
Inspection, I'm going to call it. But yes, Denver has an emission. Where the car was, I have a residence up in Woodland Park, and there is no admissions. So the car was legally...
Did it come up in the conversation during her purchase
really,
of the car?
No. What came up?
What do you mean by really?
Because
you sound misleading now.
First
you went to talking about the rules and regulations instead of answering my question directly. My direct question was, did you all discuss emissions? Did it come up during the course of discussions? Your response was, well, you have to have so-and-so. I didn't ask you that. Then I press you again. I say, no, that's not what I'm asking. I want to know if you all discussed it. Well, not really. What does that mean?
The answer is emissions, no. The discussion that I had with her father with the oxygen sensor directly relates to emissions, but we never brought up emissions. We talked about what would be done to the car.
Okay, and if you completed the issue that you and the father were discussing, it would have qualified for emissions.
My feeling is it would.
Okay, and they took that responsibility, is what you're saying?
Yes.
You never guaranteed that it would pass emissions.
Never
In fact,
guaranteed.
You're saying you and the father discussed something that would any mechanic, as he was, would know
Yes.
would affect passing an emissions test.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, did your father ever discuss this with you?
He wasn't as involved with it as he makes it sound at all. My father did look at the car. He did note that the engine light was on, and he is a good mechanic, my father. But he never really, got inside the car and looked at the car. He never drove the car or anything like that. So
Do you know whether they discussed what he's been telling you?
I have no idea. My
Was she
father did
there?
not talk to me about that
No,
stuff.
she wasn't, because I remember one explicit.
Your father doesn't do what?
He didn't talk to me about that stuff with the car.
Really?
No, he did not.
Your dad is what did you say, use your term, a good mechanic.
He is. However.
And yet, when his daughter goes to buy a used car, as is, he doesn't give her any advice about it.
No.
Wow.
My dad is, I don't know, he's different as well.
So why did he go and look at it in the first place?
I don't know, just to have something to say about
Your testimony is not believable. Not believable at all. Your counterclaim for $932 is for car repairs. How does he owe you?
Well, he did promise me that it would pass emissions, and he had plates in the car. He fooled me. He tricked me into thinking it would pass emissions.
All right,
I have a witness here.
Don't believe you.
Okay.
All right. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed.
Okay.
This story about your dad not saying anything to you after looking at it, just don't believe it.
Okay.
Don't believe it whatsoever. Your claim is dismissed. Yours is granted. Have a good day.
What I do is take older material and I recycle it. That's my hobby. And then I build things out of it.
Well, I never was really great friends with him in the first place, so it'll be fine. I'll just drive by.